And a Mike, hosted by four-time Emmy-nominated producer Frank Pace, with retired New York City firefighter and Vietnam vet Billy O'Connor.
My brother
Frankie. How are you, pal? I'm starting to like that intro music, you know?
Yeah, it sets the tone.
Yeah, I'm starting to dance with my fingers more, though. I noticed the older I get, I'm doing a lot
dance
of
with your, how many fingers? When you dance with your fingers, how many do you wrap around it? 2?
I do less with my legs and more with my fingers. The older I get, it's like I'm a finger dancer. I'm hip, man. I'm hip.
You're hip. You're hip, okay.
So tell me, my brother, how was your Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving was really good.
Would you have meatloaf again, I guess?
No, I have meatloaf. I have meatloaf about once a week.
Do you really?
Yeah, I think meatloaf is my favorite meal.
Really?
Yeah, really. I like meatloaf with a baked potato and some green beans and a salad once a week. I'll have meatloaf.
So tell me.
I didn't have meatloaf for Thanksgiving, though.
What is the cuisine like at the Pace household for Thanksgiving? No, I'm curious. I mean, I know you're going to have a turkey, but reason I say that is because...
Of course we have a turkey.
Well, I'm just... Italians eat different than...
No, we
don't
eat meatballs.
But
we have lasagna sometimes.
Well, usually there is a pasta. I'll tell you what. My first wife
of many.
Wow. Two. My first wife was an Antonucci, right? And the first time I went over to her house for Thanksgiving, I was flabbergasted. I mean, first they come out with the antipasto, right? Yeah. Big antipasto.
Right.
Then they come out with a pasta, usually, right? Then they have a leg of lamb or a ham or whatever they're making, depending on what it is, with the stuffing and the vegetables and everything else. Then they'll come out with a salad. And I don't know why they eat the salad last, but they do.
Because the salad's good for digestion.
Do you do the same thing?
No. But my friend Steve Wallenberg always has the salad for digestion after the meal.
Yeah, the salad comes last, which is kind of unusual. The Irish would never do that. And then,
the
of
Irish
course,
wouldn't have salad. Potato salad was what the Irish have.
We boil roast beef. We're not known for our cuisine. You know what we are noted for, though, is alcohol. You know, some stereotypes are true. We Irish like alcohol. You might find that hard to believe.
Well, what's the Irish whiskey that Conor McGregor is advertising for on television?
Yeah, he's selling Irish whiskey now. What's it called?
Proper 12.
Proper 12.
The Proper 12.
Yeah. Apparently, it's outperforming all whiskeys in Ireland.
Is that right? Proper 12 is outperforming.
By the way, that's Derek Harris on our intrepid third man in the booth.
Hiding in the shadows.
You're not a whiskey drinker, are you, Derek?
I drink everything.
Do you really?
Yeah, everything.
I drink nothing.
Yeah, I know. You just told me you think it tastes like kerosene whiskey.
Yeah, it doesn't make any difference what it is. It's whiskey, scotch, vodka, wine, beer. They all taste like kerosene to me.
Not even wine. No wine. Red wine at all. Nothing.
I just said they all.
Wow. I'm just checking.
I just said they all.
I want clarification.
Well, you know, alcohol is so prevalent in my family.
I know alcohol doesn't run in your family at Gallops.
No, but this is so prevalent. This is absolutely true. I told my mother one time when she was alive, Lord of mercy on her. I said to Ma, you know who died? A friend of hers had died. I said, Artie Fitzmaurice died. And she said to me, Fitzmaurice? Dead? Is he?
Is he?
But he didn't drink at all. She couldn't believe.
I was waiting to say I was going to come in on it. He didn't drink at all, and then I knew the punchline, of course.
I swear to God, she couldn't believe that there was another way that you could die. I mean, because alcohol is so prevalent in my family, everybody's dead from cirrhosis.
Yeah,
I think I've outlived everybody in my family.
But we had a very lovely Thanksgiving. Thank you. To return to the original question.
Yes,
we had the traditional turkey. We had stuffing, and but the really great thing about it, it was the first time my granddaughter Frankie celebrated Thanksgiving with us. So that made it
I think you almost cried.
I almost cried.
I think
that is great, man. Why not?
And then
it's amazing.
Next will come her first Christmas.
Yeah. So did you have pasta?
No.
No pasta on Thanksgiving?
No. I had pasta when I was a kid.
No, but I'm saying you didn't have it as a presentation on the meal because
No, because my wife was preparing the meal, not my mother. If my mother had been preparing the meal,
But Karen cooks Italian, doesn't she?
yeah, but not on
See,
not on Turkey Day.
The only problem with Italian food is 5 or 6 days later after you eat it, you're hungry again. That's the only thing I don't like about Italian food.
I'll tell you a story. A story about a wasp I worked for at one time. He invited me to his house with his family and his wife. I was single at the time, and his wife brought out the chicken salad, and I ate it. It was great, and then I was waiting for the entree, and the chicken salad was the entree. I said, "Holy shit!" to myself. I gotta go out to get something to eat after this because I'm Italian. I'm used to Italian weddings.
Big meals.
You have a huge spread at Italian weddings before you have the entree. I
love you kiddies when you say I come from a big Italian family. You ever hear that? I come from a big. Is there any other kind of Italian family?
No.
A big Italian family
No.
is the deal. When you just mentioned that about the chicken salad, I remember going to Europe for the first time. I was 19, and I'm in a cafe in Germany, and they had the menu come out, continental breakfast. I said, "Let me have the continental breakfast. I'm starving." And they came out with the coffee and 2 rolls. And I said, I'm sitting there and it's like,
waiting for the rest of it.
I don't want to screw up the rolls because I want to dip them in the eggs. I was there for 40 minutes. And finally my brother says, this is all you're getting. I said, what are you? I ordered the continental breakfast. I was thinking this big spread.
Yep.
No.
By the way, we have a great guest today, Danielle Williams, who will be joining us in a little bit. But she's going to be a terrific Phoenix stand-up.
Oh, I've known Danielle now for about 6 or 7 years. I haven't seen her in a couple of years, but let me tell you, she's just.
Well, we'll look forward to you reuniting with Diva Danielle.
Yeah, if I wasn't separated by the cameras, I'd be chasing her around the block.
Yep.
She's just a great girl.
You couldn't catch her.
No, and if I did catch her,
you would. Well,
what do I do then? I'm like the dog that chases the car. If I catch her, all I can do is bite the tires. Yeah. Maybe I can bite the tires. That's about it with Danielle.
So you have a tall tale for us today, Mr.
A tall tale. Let me see if I can tell you a tall tale. My old man gave me a tall tale one time, scented oddly enough around whiskey. Oddly enough, he used to go fishing. He told me this anyway when he was in Ireland. I came over here when I was 2.5 years old, so I don't know what the hell he did in Ireland. But he told me he used to go out to Dingle to go fishing. And Dingle's in the west part of Ireland, west coast. And there's a sign, interestingly enough, when you go into Dingle. And it says, you are now entering the peninsula of Dingle. There are 52 pubs in Dingle, which means you can get thrown out of a pub a week and still be drunk for the whole year. And that's true as God. That's the sign going into Dingle. But he used to go out to Dingle fishing. And he swore to God this was a true story. He said, Billy, that's as true as God now. True as God. I wouldn't tell you a word of a lie now. He said he used to go fishing in Dingle. And he'd always put a pint Irish whiskey between his legs when he was fishing. He says he was baiting a hook. And the worm slipped and fell into the whiskey. So he fished the worm out and he put it back on a hook. And he said, Billy, no sooner did I throw it in the water. He says, a 5-pound trout. He says, and I reeled it in and I swear as true as God that the fish didn't bite the worm. He says, the worm had the fish by the throat. True as God. And I figure my father would never lie to me, so it must be a true story.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. That was a good story.
Well, see it every now and then.
And I hadn't heard it before.
See this?
Yeah, that's
see
the first time.
See what I got to listen to? Let's see what I got to put up with. But some stereotypes are true. With the big families Italian, big meals Italian. And you guys, it cracks me up. You're the only guys I know, Italians, that could go visit their friend in a hospital. The guy could have a week to live, and as soon as they walk out, the first thing they do is check the room number to see if they can play the number.
Well, I told you about my grandmother used to play the numbers, right?
Yeah.
She did great. She had her dream book. She had her dream book, and if she dreamt about, if she dreamt about whatever, she dreamt about a plumbing. She would look up the plumber in the book, and it's plumbing problem. She'd look it up. 278 is the number, and then when the bread man came, she would give the bread man 25 cents to play the number, and she hit more than not.
Yeah, I mean, for those of you who don't know what the numbers is it's the last three, the tally on the parimutuel.
So it's the handle of the track, and the handle is
the last three numbers,
and the handle is the amount of money that was bet at the track that day.
Exactly what they took in at the track, and if the last numbers are 178, of course. To hit three numbers in a row, the odds are 1,000 to 1. They usually pay you 600 to 1. So they're shaving like 40%. So it's a racket.
So if you
the numbers racket.
If you played a nickel on the number and your number hit, you got paid off $30.
You get like 600 to 1.
600 to 1.
So 600 times a nickel, $30. Yeah,
$30
for a nickel. So yeah, it's like playing the lottery. As a matter of fact, the New York lottery and all the other state lotteries would knock the number guys out of the whack.
Yep. So the bread man, the guy who delivered bread, was no longer out of business. He was put out of business by the lottery.
Yeah.
So no more numbers in.
They still take the numbers, yeah, and of course they're prevalent and they make money in poor neighborhoods. Yeah. Because, it's a poor man's dream. You're not going to go down to Malibu and get a lot of people betting numbers. They're not going to be lined up for the number shops, whereas if you go to a poor neighborhood, South Bronx,
Yeah, and they still have numbers runners in the South Bronx. Yeah.
Sure, Harlem too. Yeah,
and the numbers runners have neighborhoods that they work the neighborhoods.
They have territories, and if you step over that territory, you're in trouble with one of your people. Because that's another stereotype to the truth.
Yeah, well,
I know there's no mafia, Frank. I know that.
I think there are some Albanians running numbers, and I think there are some Armenians running numbers, and I wouldn't be doubt if there are not a few of your people running numbers.
Yeah. No, well, yeah. I mean, I tell you, the tinker, my buddy, the tinker, Mike, who owns the Jolly Tinker. Somebody hit a number there one day. Mike will gamble on two roaches. You can put two roaches on a table and he'd bet on them, without a doubt.
Which one's going to move first?
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, he's like me. He was a compulsive gambler. And somebody hit the number, and Mike comes up to me and he says, "Can you believe this shit? Can you believe this shit?" He says, "Didn't he have a tip on a number and he didn't tell the tinker?" A tip on a number. It's totally random. It's like he didn't tell that he was pissed that the guy didn't tell him about the tip. So the number shops, I mean, I knew a guy, oddly enough, his name was Vinny Bondi. And Vinny did a stretch for a big wise guy on Arthur Avenue. He did 5 years for the guy. And when he came out, this is back in 72, 73. He came out, the guy bought him a $300,000 house in Westchester, to do the right thing for him doing it 5 years. And then he gave him 5 number shops in Harlem, which at that time was enormous money, to earn. I'm talking, $10,000, $11,000 a week was his take. And I said to Vinny, so what do you do? You're walking around Harlem with all this cash. He says, I handle it, Billy. He says, I put it in a paper bag and I skip. He said, I skip through Harlem with a paper bag like this. Nobody bothers me. They're thinking. Well, he said, not. I mean, if you walk through there with a briefcase and a suit.
Well, you mentioned doing a stretch for a guy.
Yeah.
There were a number of guys that did stretch for guys in the old neighborhood that were amply rewarded. And doing a stretch for a guy means that you did his jail time for him. And I knew a guy who did a stretch for a guy in the theater. He did a 5-year stretch for a guy, and he was amply rewarded.
Oh yeah, that's
amply
the deal.
Rewarded. Yep.
Even if you watch Peaky Blinders, I don't know if you're familiar with that show.
I know of it, but I haven't heard
You should watch it. It's really good, really well done. And they found this poor Irish slob, that could barely utter his own name, and they stand him up. He's a stand-up. What they use is, if they're going to get a bust, they have this guy go in because he's clean.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if they take the pop, of course, it's their second or third pop, and they can't do the time. But, yeah, so they used to reward people for doing a stretch. And Vinny told me he used to actually skip through the neighborhoods because this way they wouldn't bother him. They think he was a whack job,
Speaking of whack jobs, former whack job, his birthday was this week at 78. Sir Billy Connolly. I know you're the big fan.
Big fan of Billy.
Billy, he was one of the stars of Head of the Class. He took over the last year of Head of the Class. Now he's got multiple sclerosis. But I want to wish him a happy birthday. He was a tremendous guy to work with.
Well, happy birthday, Billy Connolly. I am a big fan of Billy Connolly, and I was delighted when I asked you, when I found out when we were writing Lips, that he had taken over Head of the Class. And the first thing I asked you was, is he a good guy? I mean, because that's the first thing you want to know. And you told me he was a jewel.
He's a great guy. Of course, I gave him a bottle of champagne on our opening night, not knowing, of course, that he was a recovering alcoholic.
Oh, yeah, Billy Connolly. Billy Connolly.
I gave him an expensive bottle of champagne.
Billy
He was
Connolly.
very gracious.
Billy Connolly, I mean, not only is he an alcoholic, but he does great bits about it because, I mean, you do bits about what you know and
Right.
what you are, and he does a bit about being in a phone booth, Billy Connolly, and I wish I could do it like he can, and I can't. But the premise is basically he's in a phone booth and he's so drunk, he's on the phone, he calls his agent because he can't figure out how to get out of the phone booth. That's how drunk he is. He says, now think about this. He goes, there's only 4 sides to a phone booth. He says, and one of them has the phone. So I know it's not that side. And I still can't figure out how to get out of the phone booth. So I'm calling my agent to come and get me out of the phone booth. And you know that's a true story.
Yeah. Billy always used to say, at the height of his fame, people used to walk up to him on the street and say, Billy, can you tell me to fuck off?
Can you
tell me to fuck off?
Fuck off.
And I'd say, fuck off. And they would go away happy. So happy birthday, Billy.
Happy birthday, Billy Connolly.
You put a mighty big smile on many faces across the world.
Without a doubt, man. I think he was just so original and so spontaneous,
Well, speaking of originals, Billy, do you want to introduce our guest today?
Yes, original is right, and the heart of a lion, Frank. You're going to really, really love talking to Danielle Williams. Besides being an entertainer and comedian, well, we'll let her tell the story. How about that?
How about that?
Shut my big mouth for a change.
Really? Very good. Very good.
I'm getting better, ain't
You
I?
are getting better.
Remember how dumb I used to be? I'm better now.
Well, you're better now. You're still as dumb as you ever were.
All right, let's talk to Danielle Williams.
Great. Oh gosh.
I like the glasses, baby.
So sound is good, Danielle?
Yeah, she's not hearing us.
You're not here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
She's just pretending she doesn't hear us, like so many women in your past, so many of your ex-wives.
She's here. So many of my ex-wives. There's only been one. Twice. And Danielle, of course. If you count Danielle, she was my ex, too. Danielle's the future Mrs. O'Connor.
The future ex-Mrs. O'Connor.
The future ex-Mrs. O'Connor. Why don't I just buy you a house?
Now, and get it over with.
Yes. We won't have to go through all the footwork,
So, Billy, you want to introduce our guest today? Our guest is Danielle Williams, and please, I beg of you, let Danielle talk. Just tell us a little bit about her, then don't go into all of that nonsense that you always go into on your intros. That's why I don't let you do the intros, but I'm going to let you do the intros today. So,
what abuse? You hear the abuse I got to take, Danielle?
So, why don't you tell us a little about Danielle?
All right. Let me tell you about Danielle Williams, and quickly. I'll do it quickly because otherwise Frank will be on my case. I met Danielle on the stand-up comic scene in Phoenix, and Phoenix has a bit of a cutthroat scene, with comedy. Danielle's the only person I have never heard a bad word about, ever.
That's great.
No, I'm serious. The only person I've never heard a bad word about. Everybody loves Danielle, and for obvious reasons, and our audience will find out why. She's podcast, right? You have a podcast, Danielle. You also have television appearances. You still have a morning show?
No, I'm not doing that one anymore.
You're not doing the morning show anymore.
Mm-mm.
Well, this is Danielle Williams. To our audience, Frank Pace, Danielle Williams, my partner, Frank Pace.
And Derek Harris.
And Derek Harris. And we're thrilled to have you on the show, honey. Absolutely thrilled. You look amazing, as always.
Thanks.
Billy,
I feel really good.
I'm going to stop you.
Yes.
You can't call her honey. This is 2020. You can't call her honey, babe, sweetheart, any of those things. You cannot do that.
I might as well not be able to talk at all.
Well,
I can't call you honey. I can't call you sweetheart, darling. I gotta just call you Miss Williams. Is
yes,
that it?
that would be
Miss
safe.
Diva.
Diva Danielle.
Yeah,
You
Diva.
can call her Diva Danielle.
Diva's Danielle's nickname. Everybody calls her Diva. Is it Diva or Diva? No, I'm serious. I don't know. Is it Diva or Diva?
Diva.
All right, Diva Danielle. So now you have a podcast. Why don't you tell us something about your podcast?
Well, I don't call it a podcast. I call it an internet talk show. Because I post the videos, on YouTube and all across the internet and all that kind of stuff. So I call it an internet talk show because everybody has a podcast. So I'm different.
Yes, you are. What is the topic of
Well, the show is called Community Link AZ, and basically what I do is I link people in the community together. I try to highlight nonprofits, especially people who are making a very positive difference in the lives of others going forward. These individuals in our community never have a spotlight shined on them, but they do so much good work. So that's what my platform is. I invite them in to have a conversation so people can know about them, utilize their resources, follow them on social media, support them, because if it wasn't for a lot of these nonprofits, our communities would be a mess. We'd have a lot more homeless. We would have no food pantries. We would have nobody delivering things and, thinking about the senior citizen.
Whoop.
Do a lot. So I just try to do my part by giving them a platform.
So you shine a light on these nonprofits, which is admirable, and it's different too, and it's specific. It's a specific internet show that you're running. Was the impetus for that because of your own situation? For our audience, Danielle was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. She never smoked in her life. She's always been athletic, always healthy, eats right, hiker. Was the impetus for this show because of what happened to you?
No, actually, it's because I had volunteered quite a bit in the community, met a lot of different nonprofits. At the time when I was a broadcast journalist and I was doing the morning show, had the opportunity to meet a lot of different people in the community that would come on to talk about, an event or, a fundraiser they had. So I just really stayed in touch with these individuals, and I admired the work that they were doing, and I appreciated them. And so I said, one day when I have the opportunity, I just want to do a show that has a platform for them, to highlight them, to have a conversation. And so that's what I did.
Oh, I think that's great. And how many, what have you done, about 8 or 9 of them now so far? Or you just
No, I've done a
this,
lot more.
right?
I think I have about 17 videos now up on my YouTube.
Oh, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, when we started the podcast, we were in the same situation. It seems like everybody's got a podcast. I forget the stats, but when they first, like 10 years ago, there was 3,000 podcasts. Now there's 300,000 podcasts or something. It's something ridiculous like that.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot.
Is your podcast audio only, or is it video?
No, it's video. I
Great.
invite them to come. My friend Blanca owns a flower shop here, and it's gorgeous. So I invite them to come to the flower shop. It's a beautiful setting. So we have a very comfortable conversation. I set my timer for 12 minutes, and we just get into who they are, the work they do, and how people can support them going forward.
That's terrific. That's terrific.
And besides that, now you're still doing comedy all over AZ?
Yeah, some of the places have opened up, and I've been doing some comedy, hosting a couple of events, and just networking and doing different things like that. But yeah, I've done a few comedy shows here and there, so it's been good.
What's the COVID situation like in Arizona?
Arizona, I think everybody's still doing like everybody else. We take precautions and stuff, but Arizona, because it's a very flat, wide state and we're pretty much spread out here, we kind of are just living our lives. Like people are still hiking, riding their bikes, the grocery stores, the malls, the restaurants, everything. The gyms are still active. You just wear a mask and use your, common sense and take precautions. But yeah, we're just still pretty much living our lives and just going about our business.
So the clubs are open in Arizona, comedy clubs?
Comedy clubs are opened up in Arizona. Restaurants are opened up here. They're doing like some concerts, but they're like outside at old drive-ins, so people can drive in their car with groups of people. I don't think movie theaters are open, but the gyms are open. People still go hiking, ride their bikes on the canals. It's pretty active here.
Do they, the restaurants, do they have to have the social distancing? Are they serving like 1/3 of the people they normally would serve? I know Rick Bronson with the comedy clubs, they're only doing like 1/3 or a half. Or...
Yeah, the restaurants you can come in and they'll sit you at tables and they might just have, like every other table might be empty, but they have outdoor seating where, people are just sitting at the tables, sitting at the booths, and the same on the inside, but they just sort of space you out a little bit. But for the most part, yeah, they're up and running. They're encouraging people to come out, enjoy their services, and it's been good because the weather's fantastic here, and so, they just do what they have to do, and it's not as many people as before, but there's people out.
So, Danielle, let me ask you, it was about 2 years ago this week that you received your diagnosis of stage 4 lung cancer.
Yeah.
How did that change your life? Obviously, a great deal. And what is exactly a stage 4 diagnosis? And are you in remission now? What's your status?
Well, I was diagnosed after, working out like Billy said. I worked out 6 days a week, ate super clean. I never smoked. I don't drink alcohol. I don't drink coffee. And I just started having back problems. And I went to the doctor, got an MRI on my spine. And it was the day before Thanksgiving, November 21st, 2018. Wow. And he said, you have stage 4 lung cancer. It spread from my lungs to my lower spine, my pelvis, and the top of my right shoulder. I've had everything imaginable done. I had intensive radiation for 30 days, the entire month of December. January of 2019, I started chemo, and I received chemo for over a year and a half, every 3 weeks, blood work. I had a port put in my chest. I had biopsies done on my lungs. I had surgery on my spine. I've had a lot of stuff done to me, but a lot of people would think, this is who I am, and this is just how I live my life, through positivity, and I don't allow drama in my world, and my circle is very small with my friends. And I just try to stay upbeat and just look at the good. And I told my doctor, I said, there's a reason why I got this cancer. And I started looking at all of the positives. And number one, Lung Cancer Awareness Month is the month of November. Number two, I got it the day before Thanksgiving. And most people would think, how can you be thankful for something like that? But it opened the door to a conversation. It opened the door and presented a platform. And I felt like everything I had done in my broadcast journalism career up to that point was just sharpening my tools. It was preparing me for this bigger stage, this bigger platform. And I've been able to use this as just that, a platform. I shared my journey from day one so people could see what it was like for someone who went from being extremely healthy to being the sickest in their life, and how to handle it with positivity. So from there, a conversation started and the doors opened. I had local news coverage. I had national news coverage. I had write-up in health magazines. The Mayo Clinic came out and did a story on me because I just sort of lived my life like I didn't have the disease. I continued as I was healing to walk, to eventually start working out, hiking back at Camelback and Squaw Peak, going back to the gym once the gyms opened up. And it's all mind over matter. And I knew that I was going to have to be in for the hardest fight of my life. But I said, why be mad at it? Because it'll still be here. And if I'm mad, it's going to cause even more problems because negativity affects all of your organs, your tissues. So why not flip the script and let people see a different way and have a different outcome? Because I want to live and I want to be here. I enjoy my life. I love wearing my wigs, honey. It's good. So I said, I'm going to do whatever I have to do to overcome this stage 4 lung cancer. And it's been great. I've hosted events. I've been on different platforms. I've been able to make light of this and have, a whole new part of my comedy have a different spin and routine. And then when people look at me, they never think I'm sick. But I just had a PET scan. And in September, I had a PET scan and the cancer came back. So I had to do intensive radiation every day for 2 weeks. But I would post pictures of myself at the, medical facility getting stuff done. Then the next day I would post pictures of me taking a workout class or doing something outside. Then I would post a picture of me all glammed up because I just live my life and I don't let this stop me. So people are so funny. They're like, 1 minute you're at the doctor, next, getting blood drawn and you're wrapped up in stuff. The next minute you're all glamorous with hair and makeup. But that's who I am. And that's how I, wanted to attack this cancer and let it know that it didn't get the best of me because I'm going to go out with a fight. I'm not going to go out laying down. That's just not who I am. So, yeah, me and the cancer, we're one. He's my new boo. Mm-hmm. I told my doctor that. I said, this cancer is a man. He goes, your cancer is a man? I said, yeah, honey, because look at me. He wanted to be all up in this chocolate, and he went everywhere, just like a man. He went to my spine. He went to my pelvis. He said, girl, I got to get the good parts. He in the bone and the gristle of this chocolate. You understand what I'm saying? He wanted the goods, honey, and he all up in here. So, yes, my chocolate, my cancer is a man.
Well, that's terrific. Your message of positivity is such a good one to have. I have a good friend named Dr. Frances Kinney, was president of Jacksonville University. She says the key to life is laughing as many times as you can a day. 40 times, 50 times, 60 times. She recently passed away. She was 103 years old.
Wow.
So, and she was the most positive person. And I believe your message of positivity is the right way to deal with this. So congratulations.
Well, you can see you can see why everybody just gravitated to Danielle when she first came on the scene because she is so positive. This is not just for the camera. I've never heard anybody say a bad word about her for obvious reasons. She has the heart of a lion, number one, obviously. Mm-hmm. But the way you talk about Thanksgiving and say that you're almost thankful for the platform that it gave you. Stage 4 lung cancer at your age, you're less than 4 decades, right? I don't want to.
Yeah, I'm 52. I'm 52.
Are you really 52?
Yeah.
I never would have thought you that old, even though I got a bald spot older than 52. But I never would have pegged you for that. I thought you were about 40. But to get that news, that's such devastating news, and the way you handle it with such grace and heart, it is inspirational, really inspirational. And,
well, thanks.
No, well, we haven't seen each other in a couple of years, but of course I'm still active with you on social media.
Mm-hmm.
I saw when you were losing the great deal of weight you were losing, and I was really worried. I said, Jesus, this is just, it's just awful. But you bounced back. You look terrific, absolutely terrific.
Thanks.
Honestly.
Yeah, it's so funny because I worked out, like I said, I worked out 6 days a week and took really good care of myself. And when I started losing the weight, I just thought my metabolism had revved up so much from my working out. And just because I had altered the way I was eating, I was, at the time I was diagnosed, that was my year, 2018. I was turning 50. I was graduating with a degree in journalism, even though I had worked in it for like 16 years plus, but I never went to college for it. I just, was having all these high moments. And then I was going to Miami. I was getting in my bikini and I was like, this is it. This is my year. Then I come back and then all of a sudden my back starts hurting. I start dropping weight. And at the time when my doctor gave me the news and told me I had stage 4 lung cancer, I was 94 pounds. It was ridiculous. Wow. But I just didn't see myself as this small itty bitty person. And people thought I had an eating disorder. And I thought I had like mad arthritis or a bone disease. Cancer never even entered the picture. So when he told me that, it was just like, whoa. So yeah, I had my moment, when it was devastating. I cried. I couldn't believe it and wrap my head around it. But then I started, because, I don't like to have a pity party. I like to move on. The next day, the sun rises. It's a new start and beginning. So let's just move forward. I started to think there has to be a reason. There has to be something good that's going to come from this. And so I just channeled that, and that was my focus. And then I would put things before myself and work toward them. I would work toward the fact that I wanted to hike Camelback again. I put toward the fact that I wanted to wear my high heel shoes again. I put toward the fact that I wanted to feel like myself again and gain the weight. So I did everything my doctor told me I needed to do. And I also did some of the stuff that always worked for me that were practical, common sense things of moving my body, clearing out my mind and thinking of positive things to keep myself on the right track. And then just pushing, physically pushing, even though I was so sore and I was sick, you have to push because the reward, I always tell people, it's easy to lie down. It's easy to walk on a flat surface. But to go up a hill and to come over on the other side, that's what the huffing and puffing and all of that hard work is for. The reward on the other side. And I wanted to see the reward and feel accomplished having won over this disease. So that was my whole goal.
Great. You said you went back, you got a degree in journalism at the age of 50. Billy got a degree in journalism at the age of 62.
Yeah.
What motivated you to get your degree? Because you had been working in the business. Didn't you know more than your professors?
Yeah. It's so funny. It is so funny because, yes, you do. You have all this on-the-job training and you're living it and doing it. It's so different than when you go to school because they're teaching you
theory,
the book end of it. They're not teaching you the practical applications of what you're going to be doing on the day-to-day basis. So it was a different dynamic, but I wanted to do it because it's always good to learn something new, and then you can take and apply that and see, what you might have been missing or what you can add to your, book of, knowledge and information that you've gathered over the years. And plus, I just wanted to just do it for myself to have that piece of paper. So it was just nice to get to that point, and I timed it all out, and I said, by the time I'm 50, I'll be graduating. I'll be in the best shape of my life. I'm going to Miami. So 2018 was a big year for me, and I never would have thought I would have ended up at the end of the year with a diagnosed stage 4 lung cancer as a non-smoker.
Yeah, it's incredible. Billy and I wrote this book, If These Lips Could Talk, which is available on Amazon. But I also could have titled it "Shit They Didn't Teach Me in Film School," because it's pretty much a primer for stuff that how to in production, and none of that stuff they teach you in film school.
Right.
They, like you said with your journalism stuff, they just teach you the book end of it. And I've done a number of lectures at a number of schools, and I always open up my sessions to questions and answers, and invariably the dumbest questions come from professors because they're out of touch. They're out of touch. They're not dealing with the ins and outs of doing it, and the kids have their finger on the pulse of what's going on better than some of the professors.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's interesting that you said that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there is an old adage, and they always say those that can do and those that can't teach, which is kind of degrading to teachers. I sort of have a little bit of a reverence for professors.
Too much so.
Maybe,
I would say.
Could be. But Hemingway has a great line about the English teachers. He says, English teachers have killed more writers than alcohol. And whether or not, I don't know, but broadcast journalism, you went back. But to get that piece of paper at 50 years old is, again, it's the reward at the other end of the mountain. It's why you hike the mountain to begin with.
Well, I think it validates you to academicians.
Academicians?
Is that a word?
Academics?
Academics?
But I was glad I didn't walk that. Did you walk? Did you walk the graduation day?
I did, and it was so nice just to be in a cap and gown, and you see all these other
and
people
heels,
around you.
You better have been in heels.
Oh, I was.
I was going to walk in heels too, but I thought better of it. I didn't walk, but I got to tell you, I wanted that piece of paper. I mean, obviously, at 62 years old, I wasn't going to be a cub reporter. I wasn't going to be a journalist. But I wanted the piece of paper.
But you were different than Danielle, because you were.
Well, look at her. I hope so. Different.
Yeah, she had already established herself
Right.
in the business.
Right.
You were trying to make up for a lost 58 years.
Yeah, but I had a lot of I had a lot of things to write about, Frank. I went down a lot of wrong roads.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. You were reinventing yourself.
Yes.
Danielle
Yes.
was validating herself
Exactly.
in her eyes.
Yes.
Because she had already been validated in the eyes of that were doing in the workforce. She had already been validated
Without a
in the
doubt.
workforce. She was just validating herself in her own eyes. And that's too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you a question, Danielle. Are you a person of faith? Are you a person of deep faith? Did this diagnosis affect your faith one way or the other? Did it make you a more believer or lesser a believer?
No, I've always been a spiritual person, and I don't even think I even for once thought, like negative as far as, this is something that's being put on me and like a why God kind of thing. Nothing like that. But I've always been a spiritual person, and I've always liked just the practical teachings of Buddhism and things like that, because it's just common sense. It's respectable. It's positive. It's motivating. It pushes you forward, but it also gets you, puts you in a good frame of mind. So that's kind of like the practices and the belief system that I have. Always that, do unto someone as you want to have done to you. And then if people show you who they are and they're just not aligned with what you're feeling, believing, or know to be true, then just move on.
Cut them loose. I agree with you 100%. The Eastern philosophies, like Buddhism and everything else, they're more grounded to this idea of energy, that we're all make up one part of the world. But I got to tell you, I wish to God, and I hope that
who's God? Who's God?
Who's God? Exactly. Whatever that is.
The spirit in the sky?
I hope to God that I would like to think that I would have your attitude if somebody diagnosed me at your age with this terrible. I mean, I would love to be able to say, yeah, I handled it the way Danielle handled it, I don't know. I don't know. It's almost like, how are you going to react in battle? You always wonder, if you've never been in combat, how would I react?
I know how I would react. I would run for the freaking hills.
But
there's not going to be any hero. They're not going to badge.
I will
pin
be
any heroes badges on me.
I will be observing through heavy lenses.
Yeah. I'm not going to be like the general or the colonel.
I would like to think that I'd be like Danielle, but there's a part of me that would think to myself, you son of a bitch, you got me again. Like, this is what you got to do. Like, why God? Like, she said it to work. I don't know I think it would make you more religious in the respect that even if you lashed out at God, said, if you blamed him for the situation, you would acknowledge him anyway, I don't know.
Yeah, some people, it's funny because I have a lot of people that would say to me, oh my goodness, I don't think I would have been able to handle a doctor telling me that, I have stage 4 lung cancer. So many people would joke that, they would be out. They would be dead. They would be done. It would be over. And I said, but it's all, perspective. That's what life is. Everything is perspective. And you have a choice. And you either have the choice to say, okay, how am I going to handle this? Am I going to, you can get angry and get frustrated, get it out of your system, but move on. Because especially you can't harbor that and hold on to it, because tomorrow's a new day. The sun will come up, and you need to, let things go to have clarity, so you can open up yourself to the good that will come in. And trust me, it will come in, especially when you least expect it. And all of these things, because of just the way I approached it, the way I was open to it, it became sort of like okay for other people who were getting it. I mean, I've made connections. There was a girl who found me because of my videos that I post, because I would just do these videos to chart my journey, put them on YouTube and social media. A girl from Switzerland, a black girl who had never smoked, got stage 4 lung cancer. Found me on YouTube. We connected. We did podcasts together. We've been talking. Then I got connected with a couple of other girls, all African American, all active, all non-smokers who got lung cancer.
Wow.
It's crazy. So, I mean, it was just nice. So now I have these wonderful new people in my lives. We're all encouraging, upbeat. We're all supportive of one another. And if I didn't have this disease, I don't think I would have met them. I also wouldn't have appreciated some of the little things. I think this was a way for me to slow down because I was just go, go, go so much. But now, you appreciate different things. You see things differently. You welcome in other things into your life. And so you just have to look at the pros and the cons, but more so the blessings, because they always outweigh, like I always say, good always outweighs evil. And, positive always trumps negative. So, it might not happen today. It might not happen tomorrow, but it's going to happen. So,
Well,
just got to be open to it.
You put a human face on lung cancer, especially for African Americans. So now, if a young African American gets lung cancer, they know who to go to, and they know somebody who's espousing a thing of positivity,
Mm-hmm.
and they can look at you instead of just being this overwhelming thing. Got lung cancer.
Mm-hmm.
I've got the same thing as Danielle, and you
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
a human face on
She's
it.
put a human face on the disease, is right. But it's I wonder if these other African Americans, does it run in their family? I mean, do you ever ask why? Does it run in your family? Is there a history of cancer in your family, or just out of the blue, like lightning? It's just you, bing?
Yeah, it was just kind of random because, I don't smoke. My mom doesn't smoke. My brother lives in California. He doesn't smoke. Um, yeah, and, like I said, I was taking good care of myself. And like these other women, too, they've been taking good care of themselves. Their spouses don't smoke. The only person in my family who had cancer was ovarian cancer, and that was my grandmother. And she just passed away last month, and she was 94. So nobody else, my mom's the oldest of 11 children. So out of all of them, nobody has it. And I'm the firstborn grandchild. And so far, I'm the only one, except for my cousin Tia, who had breast cancer. But it was just the weirdest thing with my doctor and the radiologist as well. My oncologist and the radiologist was saying that, unfortunately, we are seeing more women who never smoke, who take care of themselves, getting lung cancer. And so we're constantly researching, trying to figure out why. Is it the food? Is it the environment? Is it a genetic makeup? Is there some kind
Is
of a
it that
cell pool?
particular kind of cancer? Is it lung cancer specifically?
Lung cancer. Mm-hmm. Specifically lung cancer. And what's sad is lung cancer is the number one killer of all cancers. It surpasses, deaths of breast cancer, colon cancer, prostate cancer, ovarian cancer. It kills the most people. This is the most deadly type of cancer, lung cancer. But it is also the least funded with federal government money and stuff like that. So that's why there's all those campaigns, and because people have a disbelief, they are still wrapped up in that stigma that it's associated with smoking.
Right.
But in this day and age, it's over 20%, I would think by now, of more people who don't smoke are getting lung cancer.
Wow.
I never knew that stat. That's remarkable.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a stigma attached to it. People think, well, he's got lung cancer, blame him. It's his own fault. He smokes 5 packs a day.
Right. Yeah. But you have people like me working out 6 days a week, eating healthy. You have, moms taking care of themselves.
There's nobody like you, Danielle. There's nobody like you. Believe me when I tell you. When you talk about the positive aspects of getting cancer, there's nobody like you. Nobody.
Danielle, why don't you tell us a little about your comedy?
Well, my comedy, when I first started doing comedy, it was so funny because years ago when I started in radio, I started in California. I won a radio contest in California, wind up taking a job, getting on the air. And my part of my morning show duties was to go down to the comedy club, warm up the crowd, introduce the comedians, and then the next morning, the comedian would come, the headliner would be on our morning show at the radio station. So I enjoyed it and I had a great experience, but I didn't feel I could be a comedian because I didn't feel like I had enough to say or a story to tell. So years later, I finally said, you know what, this is about 2013. I said, I kind of feel like I want to experience doing some stand-up. So I went to an open mic and I started, getting into it, but I didn't understand. I didn't know. So I started asking different comedians about the process of writing a joke, having your own style on stage and different things like that. And so I started by just talking about what I know. And I started by writing about my love of wigs, my love of my fake hair, because I've been wearing hair for years, whether it's been clipped in, sewn in, glued in, wearing it for years. So I started out my material just talking about my hair, and I wrote jokes about my hair, and I added on to it and mixed it up, played with the audience about it, and played into the stereotypes about you can't touch a black woman's hair, and I wrote jokes about that, and it all centered around my hair. And then from there, I started expanding and doing relationships, things with my girlfriend. But now I have, jokes that I've written that affect my cancer, and it's been, like I said, a great way to start a conversation. Because when I get on stage, people always ask me, do you still have it? You don't even look like you were ever affected by stage 4 lung cancer. And then people who have gone through cancer want to share their stories too. So you have this common bond. And there's always somebody in the audience who knows somebody or is right now a survivor of cancer, whether breast cancer, lung cancer. So you have those people and you can bounce off of them and you can show the lightheartedness of it, and they appreciate it, because for most people it's a daunting thing. And some people, they don't want to talk about it, they don't want to share it, but laughter's the best medicine. And if you can look cancer in the eye and laugh at it and still come out standing, you win. And that's all I'm trying to do in life is win.
Well, you're a winner in our book for sure. I think next year at Thanksgiving we'll have Danielle back, so we can get an update on how you're feeling, what you're doing. You've been a terrific guest. Thank you so much.
I miss you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I miss Ms. Williams. I miss you so much, Miss Williams.
Diva Danielle.
Diva Danielle. It's been a long time, and I tell you, you are an inspiration. You really are. And if I had I do have a hat on, I'd take it off and a tip of the hat to you, because you're just remarkable.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Thank you guys. It's been a pleasure. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too, Danielle.
Great.
Keep it up, kid.
Boy, she was a great guest.
She's fantastic. I tell you, she doesn't know what negativity is. That's the way she's always been. She's like I said, I don't know anybody has ever said a bad word about Danielle. And the comedy scene in Phoenix is a cutthroat scene. It's like if one guy gets ahead, the other guy saying, "Oh, he ain't that funny. This guy ain't that good. He ain't that hot." But not with Danielle. Everybody that meets her is affected by her positivity. And the talk about even doing jokes, you're getting on stage, you're doing jokes about cancer, but she could pull it off.
Yeah, and Murphy Brown did a whole season when Murphy got cancer, and they built a whole season around that, and it was a terrific season.
Yeah, because I guess you can't. It's the elephant in the room. You got to address it. It's part of your life. As a matter of fact, when somebody diagnoses you like that with stage 4, it becomes the focus of your life. I mean, it has to. I mean, staying alive is, the primary instinct in man, self-preservation.
Yeah, yeah. So the Guru.
The Guru is hot.
6-3.
The Guru is hot.
The 6-3.
Just keep pitching him games. I'm telling you, sit at home, get high-priced company, get bottles of champagne, and listen to the Guru. Don't listen to this fraudulent bookmaker. I think I'm 5-7 now.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. 5-7.
5-7. 12 dogs. I like the dogs.
I'm 6-3.
6-3. Yeah, very, very impressive. And you're just getting these games hurled at you.
Yes, I am just getting these games hurled at me. But to tell the truth, if I put $5 on a game, I would choke like a mad dog. So do not listen or do not do what I do. Do not listen to me.
If this experiment of ours has proved anything, it's proved that they make the ball round for a reason.
Yeah.
Nobody knows which way it's going to bounce,
Okay, so who's your pick this week?
Oh, let's see. This week I had yes, I like another dog. And boy, do I pick dogs. I mean real dogs. I mean dogs that couldn't win a one-horse race. I like Tennessee. They're getting 4.5 points from the Colts. I think Tennessee's about ready to go on a little streak. I still think they got a great coach and a good team. So I'm going to take Tennessee plus 4.5 over Indianapolis. Don't anybody listen to me. I'm 5-7. Is that what I am? 5-7.
5-7.
Listen to the guru. Give the guru his game out of the blue.
Oh,
I can give him the game,
But-
or we can have him pick his own game.
no, I don't want to pick my own game. I just want to pick your game.
He's doing pretty good at the games we're throwing at him.
All right, so we got the Raiders against Atlanta.
The Raiders against Atlanta.
Okay, Raiders at -3, and Atlanta's they're playing at Atlanta. In Atlanta.
Gee, that's a tough one too. Raiders
A
minus
tough
6.
one for you? Come on. What do you mean tough for you?
The Raiders. I
Just to confuse you a little more, there are more games on the screen.
yeah. I'm not going to. I'm not even going to look at that.
3 of these are on Thursday. These are the Thanksgiving Day
Yeah,
parade.
3 of those are already over.
That's right. 3 of them are already over. I can pick them.
Maybe. You can go to 8. You can go to 8 and 7.
Maybe.
Oh.
You know what? I'm still going to take the dogs. Even if the favorite wins, I'm picking the
Okay,
dogs.
so what do I? If the Raiders are underdogs, are they?
Raiders are favorite.
The Raiders are. So this is exactly like last week. The Raiders are giving points on the road and played Monday Night Football. So, and they have to travel across country.
In private jets.
It doesn't make any difference, private jets. Why don't we go back to Antonio Brown playing for the New England Patriots
That's
again?
not what I said.
That's
what I said.
You just got to settle for the abuse.
Yeah.
You just got to take the abuse. That's all there is to it.
So I really want to take the Raiders because everybody's saying the Raiders are a good team now because they just lost to
Kansas City.
Kansas City.
And a game they shouldn't have lost.
Yeah. I'm going to pick Atlanta.
Atlanta at home. Look at you. Going for the dog. Because usually you like the chalk. You usually go for the chalk.
Yeah, those are the 2 games I've lost.
Is that right? The 2 games you lost were chalk?
Well, I lost 3 games, but
But the games you lost, they were dogs?
yeah,
Or chalk?
they were chalk.
Really?
So,
But you usually pick chalk. So.
yeah, but again,
Atlanta +3, says the guru.
+3.
+3. Atlanta +3.
Our book is doing great.
That's good to hear.
It's a great Christmas gift.
It's a good stocking stuffer.
It's a good stocking stuffer, and it's a not that expensive, $24.95 or whatever it is on Amazon.
It's not $25.
It's not $25.
It's less than $25.
It's less than $25.
It's $24.95.
Yeah, $24.95.
I wonder if there's a marketing ploy in there someplace.
Yeah, spend less than $25.
For Christmas, come on, give the gift of reading. I mean, that's the best gift you can give.
Yes, it is.
Unless you're Italian, then you can stuck the stockings with pasta fazool.
And-
Pasta fazool is a good gift to put in the stockings.
Pasta fazool is soup.
Yeah, but it's good.
How are you
going to
stuck it? How you going to stuck pasta fazool? You know, really,
They
you,
make a good stocking stuffer. What do you think I got in my stocking? Well, look, it's dripping out the bottom. Pasta fazool. It's a soup sandwich.
who do we got on next week? We got Bill Madden on next week.
Bill Madden, hey, another writer.
New York Daily News,
New York Daily News sports writer.
author of the new book Seaver. Why don't you hold that book up there, Billy?
Yes, next week we have renowned sports writer.
Member of the Baseball Hall of Fame, Writers Wing.
Wow. Bill Madden.
Why don't you show it to this camera, and then we can...
I don't know where the camera is.
camera's
Hello
right
there.
there.
Hi, camera. How are you? Glad to see you. Tom Seaver by Bill Madden. He's our guest next week. And he wrote a great book about Steinbrenner, didn't he?
Yeah, why you can open it up and see what he's written.
What, you want me to read?
No, fine.
You
Good
don't
night,
want me to read?
folks.
Don't good night. What do you
Good
mean
night, folks.
I'm just getting warmed up here.
Good night, folks.
Good night. What do you mean good night?
See you next
We're
week.
in the shank in the afternoon here. What good night?
See you next week.
All right, see you next week. Thanks for tuning in. Listen, stay safe out there. And take a tip from Danielle. Have a positive attitude. Live your life every day.
Absolutely. Like you, my friend.
It's like us, brother. Let's hope you get those 20 years.
Amen. Amen.
Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you next week.